Good morning, Internet. We are live. It is April 8th, 2019. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Just by being here, you are committed to being a better parent and, in turn, making the world a better place. So today I wanted to talk to you about an experience I had on Friday, which is a good learning experience. It's something that I learned from, something you can learn from, and it's something that's kind of hilarious looking back on it. But it was definitely a very interesting day. It started early in the morning where I did my first ever live stream on the Classical Learner YouTube channel. If you don't follow it, please do. I will put the link in the comments. So make sure you follow that channel, Classical Learner. And on that channel, I discuss everything and only anything related to how we educate our children, which of course is the focus of my social media at this point in my life. And I'm working on a lot of big things behind the scenes, something that I'll touch base on a little bit here, that I'll be rolling out sometime, hopefully over the next week or a couple of weeks when it's ready. So I did my first ever live stream on the Classical Learner YouTube channel on Friday, and it went very well. I talked about the proper way to teach a child how to write. So I did my stream, and then I went on with my day, and I had a break in my day, so I was on the internet, and I was on the WhenHub app, which is an app which allows people to do private consulting. People who have questions about education, basically, they could sign on to the WhenHub app. They hit Find an Expert, and if you type in homeschooling, if you type in education, my Classical Learner comes up. They're able to hit call, and when I'm on, it calls my cell phone, and I do one-on-one consultations with people who are looking for advice in the proper ways to educate their child. This is an app that was released by Scott Adams recently. It's very cool. You can do it with anything. If you're a plumber, for example, you can sign up as an expert, and when you go live onto WhenHub, people know, they could see, okay, Joe the plumber is on WhenHub. They hit call, and just like that, they are on the phone with you, and you set your hourly rate. And it works the other way around as well. For example, if you had questions about educating your child, you would go on, you would hit education, my Classical Learner would pop up, you hit call, and boom, you'd be on the phone with me. So that's the app. Anyway, I was on the WhenHub app on Friday, and I glanced over at Twitter, and I saw that Scott Adams' good friend, which I figured he would because they are friends, Mike Cernovich, had just tweeted out that he just created his WhenHub app, and he was doing, he would be taking 2 callers, and they would both be free. So, to me, ring, 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 an opportunity jumped out right in front of me. I said, okay, this is great. What have I been doing? Over the last, 18 months, I've been building up my social media account, my social media profile, and right now I'm in the process of transitioning to building not just a social media platform, but behind the scenes I've been building something that I think is going to revolutionize the way people educate their children, the way people raise their children. It's not ready for launch yet, but I've been slowly building it. I want to make sure it's ready before I just roll it out. So what I'm really doing is I'm turning my social media presence into a functional operating business system. So obviously having a conversation one-on-one with someone like Mike Cernovich would be very beneficial to me. Cernovich, for those of you who don't know his backstory, has been wildly successful in the area not just of building a social media platform, but in the area of turning his social media platform into a business. Before most of you heard of him, before he got into politics, Cernovich was doing mindset work. and he had a very substantial social media presence. And he was so successful with his mindset social media, which included his business system of selling his books, selling products, whatever it was that he was doing, that he was actually able to live in, I believe, 17 different countries by the time he was in his mid to late 30s. The revenue he was bringing in, the profit he was bringing in from his social media presence allowed him to live wherever he wanted and to travel the world. So obviously there is a lot of value in someone like me having a conversation with Mike Cernovich. So I'm on WenHub. I'm available for consultation, which is something I do. And I see Cernovich. He's on WenHub right now, just started his account, and he's taking 2 callers, and they're both free. So me, I'm not shy about anything. I grab my phone, boom, boom, type in his name, hit call. Ring, ring, and boom. There he is, Mike Cernovich. Just like this is my background behind me that you know me with, sitting behind his background. And in classic Cernovich style, what does he do? The phone answers, and he picks up his cigar, and he blows this cigar smoke at the phone. And at this point is why my impromptu call might not have been the best idea, because at this point, I lost my train of thought. I've been watching Cernovich. For probably since 2016. And he's been a big inspiration to me, the way he operates on social media, the way he really, more than his politics, his mindset works. His mindset work, the way he's always teaching people to see the world through a lens of abundance, that there's opportunity. And we're going to talk about that here, the way he points people in the right direction of things they should be doing in their lives to better their personal situation. A lot of people see Cernovich and they think of he's cocky, they think he's a know-it-all, he talks a lot about politics, but politics, that's not the best part of the man. What the best part of the man is how he attempts to empower individuals. In fact, on Twitter, you'll notice that there are a lot of people on Twitter that are very loyal to Cernovich because he goes out of his way to prop up people when they're not nearly as big, when they're not a benefit to him. So if you take away the politics, you see, all right, this is a very good guy. So I get on the phone, and so this is a big opportunity for me, right? And right away, I just blanked out. I got completely nervous, which is fine. I'm so smooth in these situations in general. I could speak with anyone. I've given speeches in front of hundreds of people. No problem at all. I get up there, I say my speech. I brought crowds to tears. To tears. And then I get on the phone with Cernovich, and he blows a cigar, and and he's just looking at me because I called him, so he was waiting for me to say something. Hi, Mike. I do social media. I make YouTube videos. And he's looking at me, and obviously going through his mind is, oh, this guy's a bumbling idiot. This guy's not well-spoken at all. But so anyway, I catch my breath, and I say, okay, Mr. Cernovich, I was making videos, and now I'm starting a blog, and I'm trying to help people educate their children. So he starts asking me some questions, and I start to get a little bit more into the flow of a natural, normal conversation. But at this point, I was just trying to not look like a complete idiot. I lost my spark, which is my greatest asset, my positivity, my ability to have deep conversations and not basic conversations. One of the biggest struggles I run into personally is when I speak to people in everyday situations. People are so basic, they want to talk about the weather, but I want to talk about big world ideas. I want to talk about doing things that could change the world. I want to talk about how the world operates from a macro level and how we could change the world from a micro level. I didn't do any of that with Cernovich, which it's a shame, it's a travesty, because I really could have showed him what I'm all about, which the people that follow me know. I'm a very intellectual person, I'm a very deep person, but I panicked at the beginning, and then what I did after that was I figured, okay, well, this guy has done this, let me just ask him systems questions, which are valuable. I asked him, he reviewed my social media, he pointed out 1,000 things in 15 minutes that I was doing wrong. He said, change this, change that, make this adjustment, make that adjustment. I talked to him about some of the things I wanted to do, but I didn't articulate it properly. I asked him what books I needed to read and so that I could learn copywriting, which is the art of writing headlines. So he pointed me to the right books. He pointed me to the right marketing books, and I'm reading those books right now, and they've already been a massive help to me. I've talked to him about the setting up of a blog and the proper marketing strategy to use to get new eyeballs to your blog when you're starting it from scratch. So I had a conversation with Cernovich for 15 minutes about all of these things, and it was monumentally helpful to me. And it was so kind of him to take his time, and in spite of me sounding like a bumbling idiot and not looking, I didn't look impressive at all, which I caught my breath right after, and I started cracking up. I was like, you idiot, what did you do? But the information he gave me was very valuable. So in spite of me not being impressive, it was a very good conversation. So what should I have done? How should my conversation have gone? The first thing I should have done is kept my composure, obviously. But once I got into the conversation, I had a conversation with him about very basic things, about very basic copywriting, very basic marketing. I should have saw the opportunity for what it was. Mike Cernovich is a major social media influencer. He has shown a tendency to prop up people on social media that he finds to be interesting, that he finds to be valuable to the world. Now, I think that most of you who have followed me for some time do find me to be interesting and valuable to the world, and I know for a fact I've changed people's lives because they've told me, and I've helped people with things behind the scene that are life-changing to them. So if I did it again, what I would have done is I would have talked about the big world ideas that I always talk about rather than basic systems operations. And what I would have done is said, Mike, how you doing? I'm a huge fan of your work. I've been following you since about 2016. I love what you did. I love what you did with the Unmasking Susan Rice story, your interview on 60 Minutes. I love what you did with getting John Conyers fired. I actually made a video documentary trying to raise awareness about that entire situation and Congress and how they have this secret taxpayer slush fund that allows them to settle sexual harassment suits with taxpayer money. But most of all, I love the mindset work you do. I love the book Guerrilla Mindset. I actually use your mantra, and whenever I fail, whenever I get down with anything in life, because I actually do this, I use the Guerrilla Mindset mantra concepts. I say, okay, wow, that didn't go right, but isn't this a great opportunity for me? Isn't this a great challenge? Just like this interview with you right now is a fantastic opportunity for me as a social media creator, someone who's trying to build a business within social media. I see this as a great opportunity, and I am going to tackle it. So thank you so much for being here with me, Mr. Cernovich. And then he would have went somewhere along the lines of, well, asking me, well, what is it that you're doing? And I would have said, Mike, when I started out, I was naive, but I was passionate, and I wanted to change the world. And I started a Facebook page, and I built a couple of thousand followers, just modest, nothing crazy. And then I said, okay, well, I'll make YouTube videos. And I thought, what better to make a video about than Seth Rich? He was all over the news, and I felt like people weren't putting the story together. So I made a documentary, and it was the first video I ever made, and instantly 10,000 views. I thought, wow, this social media is easy. So I made a second documentary on Seth Rich, and thousands of more views. And I wound up making an 8-part documentary on the still unsolved murder of the death of Seth Rich. And the videos got thousands of views, and it was very successful, and I wound up making a ton of videos exposing pedophile networks. I exposed the Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein connections all the way to Prince Andrew and the English royal family. By the way, I love the work you're doing exposing Jeffrey Epstein and what he's doing. I made documentaries exposing the pedophile network that Jerry Sandusky was a part of, that the mainstream media covered up. I made a documentary with over 20,000 views on the death of Michael Hastings. I made a video about Tommy Robinson after he had been wrongfully, made into a political prisoner. 140,000 views on that video. So I've had a lot of success making documentaries, but I got to a point where I didn't want to do the political stuff. I wanted to do something different. I had done the political stuff. I had success with it. And I took about a month and a half off of YouTube, where I probably made about 2 videos in a month and a half. And then when I came back, I said, my new thing is education. Well, you get political people. A lot of those political people, they didn't want to be a part of that. So I lost those followers. That's fine. I'm trying to build something better, something greater. I'm trying to make change from the grassroots level. I didn't really mind losing those followers. I am going to build this, by the way. Not just a mic. I am going to build an education system that revolutionizes the way people raise their children. It's in the works, and I'm so excited. So I came back, and now I'm focusing on education, and what I'm going to do is fundamentally transform the way people think about raising their children, the way people think about educating their children. I'm going to apply a lot of the concepts from your very book, the concept of creating a culture within your child's world in which they understand that there is a world of abundance, there is a world of opportunity, that this is not a scarce world, that just because you haven't, that just because you are growing up poor or middle class, that doesn't mean that is your lot in life. And the way we get our children to break that cycle is by creating a culture, by creating a mindset in your household from day one in which the only thing that they even consider is that there is a world of abundance. I'm going to change the world. And then I'll talk to him a little bit about my background and say that, you know, I kind of just floated through school. I didn't really care about it. I actually think that works to my advantage now. I say, Mike, I've heard you talk about how you never did homework in school. Well, I never studied in school. I didn't really care about it. I floated by. I got B's. I went to my bachelor's program. I majored in adolescent history education, 7 to 12 history education. I loved history. It's the only thing I cared about. I studied that on my own. So I did history education, and I didn't take that seriously either. I spent most of my college years getting drunk and chasing girls. Oh, this doesn't sound very impressive, does it? It's what makes me strong today. I spent my college years getting drunk, chasing girls. I wasn't growing spiritually. I wasn't growing academically. I wasn't doing much of much. I was taking on debt. And then I got to about my senior year of college, and I thought, uh-oh, the real world's approaching. I better learn some stuff. So I was going to be a history teacher. So I started doing well in school. My senior year, I got perfect grades in all my classes. And I didn't know anything much. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be in a classroom. I better watch politics. So you guys know where this is going. So my senior year of college, after never watching any of this stuff, I watched Fox News and CNN back and forth every day. That's all I watched because I was like, well, I better prepare for being a teacher. I got to know some shit. So I watched politics, and I graduated from college, and you know, I started doing the teaching thing, and I went back to my master's program. I had got a job right out of college working in the New York State Early Intervention Program. That's where I got my job right out of college, and I was helping families I was assisting families in developing education programs. I was getting them speech therapy and physical therapy, and I was actually creating and writing up the plans that the therapist would implement. So I had a lot of experience creating educational plans. And I said, okay, well, I got my master's degree. So based on my job, I said, okay, I got my master's degree in birth to two special education. So I get my master's degree in birth to two special education. And at this point, this is where I started to take schooling seriously. And I graduated my master's program with a 4.0 GPA. And when I graduated, I won the award that goes to the #1 student in the entire program. So I went from this child who my teachers, I was a resource room child in middle school, and my teachers didn't have much good to say about me. In fact, if you asked them, they said I wasn't going to be anything. But by the time I decided to take school seriously, my master's program, I graduated that program perfect GPA and the award for the #1 student in the program. And I have all this experience working with families and developing education plans. But then I started to examine the way the world works with my politics. And I realized that the schooling system is completely broken, that the schooling system sets people up to fail, that the schooling system, it doesn't teach any of the things it's supposed to teach. What it really teaches is to be obedient to authority, to do the work that authority tells you to do when they tell you to do it, that you should outsource your thinking to authority, that truth comes from textbooks and truth comes from your teacher, but none of those are primary documents, and none of those involve you discovering truth and drawing conclusions for yourself and making your own thesis and setting out to prove that thesis. That everything taught in school is completely out of context. That you do math for 45 minutes and drop it, and then we wonder why children say, when will I ever use this? That your self-esteem comes from your teacher. That you decide if you did a good job based on the grade your teacher gave you. It doesn't even matter if you actually learned anything. Here, memorize this information for 3 weeks, forget it in 4 weeks, but hey, if you get all the multiple choice questions right, we'll give you an A+. You're learning something. You didn't learn a damn thing. And finally, what school teaches children is that they have their place in life, especially with the politically driven messaging coming out of the school system. That if you're poor, you're going to be poor. That if you're middle class, you're going to be middle class. And that the rich just have all this privilege and that's why they're successful. But what I've learned through my research is within 2 generations, most extremely rich people have completely squandered their wealth. That there is a world of abundance, and the people out there who understand that mindset are able to achieve great things in the world. That's what I would have said to Mike. So what I'm doing is taking my education, taking my experience working with families, and taking my knowledge of how the world actually operates from a macro perspective, examining the schooling system and the political system, and I'm creating a unique educational program in which I provide families with family assessments, where I analyze the dynamics within the household, the culture within the household. I analyze the skill sets of the parents. I analyze the parents' upbringing and the strengths and weaknesses that they developed as a result of that upbringing. Because we are all products of the households that we come from. That I analyze your children's skill sets, what they're able to do, what they're not able to do, their outlook on the world, their mindset, and together develop customized education plans with families so that they can raise their children to have a talent stack, a wide set of skills that allows them to do whatever they want when they get older. A talent stack, and this is very important, that includes skills that allows them to have the confidence and the ability to create anything with their hands that they could think of with their minds. This is a very important part of what I'm trying to teach. Your children need to have the ability to create with their hands what they think of with their minds, because their minds have infinite potential. But so many of us grow up and we have physical limitations because we're not good at artwork. We're not able to play music. We don't understand computer coding. People are not able to build with their hands what they think of with their minds, but we're going to change that and make sure that children can. We're going to create a mindset of abundance so that children look for the greater opportunity. They look to level up within every little thing that they're doing. So if your child enjoys cooking, then they're going to want to publish a cookbook. You see, everything they do, they're going to level up. We are going to teach parents how to engage in feedback-based learning, of doing things within context so that children can actually learn the purpose behind what they're learning, the practical value behind what they're learning. So that when children fail with feedback-based learning, they don't fail. They just analyze what they did wrong, go back to the drawing board, start over, and get it correct. This way they actually learn, hey James, how you doing? They actually learn what they set out to learn. This is the type of education system, the education program I'm trying to set up for families, including more classical education, the trivium of education, grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And right now, I have done this, and this on social media, and I just would appreciate if you could give me some direction, Mike, as to where I should take my social media, how I should properly build it, how I build a YouTube channel, how I build the blog that I'm starting up, what are the proper marketing strategies to use, and how do you get eyeballs? That is the interview I should have done with Mike Cernovich. By the way, I would greatly appreciate if you do follow Mike Cernovich on social media, if you could tweet out this link to him, because I'd like him to see the actual interview I should have given versus the embarrassment that I did, which I walked over to my wife after and I was just hysterically laughing. I was like, yeah, I spoke with Cernovich and I froze. And she was laughing at me. We're like, yeah, you live and you learn, right? Yeah. You take shots, you take opportunities, and some opportunities you miss. But what I learned, that's a learning experience. And now I know the next time I speak to someone of that nature, I need to show them who I am, not talk about basic system stuff. Because, yeah, he probably heard what I had to say and was like, well, what value does this guy even bring? Well, for those of you who follow me and I hear me talk about the education system all the time, hear me talk about the proper raising of children all the time, I think it's obvious the value I bring. In fact, I've helped many families already in educating their children. But I didn't let that show. So it was a learning experience. And there's a couple of important lessons that I think we could take from it in terms of how you want to raise your children. The first is, and I'm actually good at these, but I just froze up. But the first is you want to make sure your children have a lot of experience with job interviews, right? Feedback learning, real world experience is the best way to educate your child. So as soon as your child's old enough to, you want to make sure they're going on interviews. And encourage them to go on interviews, not just for jobs they're going to get, but even on jobs they are unlikely to get and have no interest in taking. When they get a job, just encourage your child to go on interviews for better jobs while they have their summer job. Say, oh, look at this job. This is better. It pays you more. You have better hours, whatever it might be. Why don't you go do an interview here? They say, but I just got my job. Say, yeah, but if you get this better job, I'm not going to stop you from taking it. You'll make more money and you'll like it more. And have them go on the interview. And then if they don't get that job, just have them keep doing it all through their childhood. And let them know that you're doing it for a few reasons. One, because you want them to be able to do what they want to do and to make money right now if they're getting a summer job. Later on, we're going to talk about having them set up summer businesses rather than summer jobs. But interviews are an important part of a childhood, and learning skills within summer jobs, it's another concept we'll talk about, is an important part of raising a child to be a competent adult who's capable of doing anything they want to do. But have them go on interviews, because one of the skills they're learning is how to speak in that interview situation. And what they'll find on these interviews, in my opinion, in my experience, what I should have channeled, because I already knew it with Cernovich, is that when you go on an interview, what you really want to do is you're selling yourself. I mean, you could talk about this and system stuff. When people are doing interviews, they want to know, do I like this guy, right? Can I stand to be around him? Is he generally intelligent, so that I can mold him to do what he has to do? But they're looking to find out if they like you, right? But that's a great lesson in life, by the way. Just be yourself in those interviews. Let your best you shine. But have your children do that, and that they'll develop those interview skills. And finally, the next lesson, finally, so I'm bumbling my words right now. Learn to breathe, right? The next lesson that at least I'd like to point out is something I spoke about a little bit already, but I talked about creating an abundance mindset in your children, right? This is what you have to have your children understand. Think about the story that I just told you. I went your typical route, bachelor's degree in education, master's degree in education, got a job, all that. And then I decided on an impromptu, I wasn't even awake. Like, I didn't even know how the world worked yet. But impromptu, because I was just a dreamer, because my parents, they just loved the crap out of me, so I always believed I could do anything. They didn't really encourage me to have like ambition or drive. It came naturally later on. But I flipped the table over. I created a news organization, and I started making videos and getting tens of thousands of views. And I learned skills in video editing, production, and all of these different skills. I learned social media skills, and then I decided, you know what, I've had success with this, but it's not a business. So about 6 months ago, I decided, well, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to try to make this social media stuff my life. And I started reading books. I started reading all these kind of different books, marketing books, Contagious, Robert Kiyosaki, financial literacy. Right now, I'm reading a book that Mike Cernovich recommended to me by Ben Settle. I think it's called Crypto Copywriting, which is the art of writing headlines and structuring your writing so that people actually want to read it and people want to come back, and you could sell your products and sell what you're doing within the structure of what you're actually writing. So these are business skills that I'm developing. And you think about the skills I've already developed, the things I've already done with no formal training. And then you think about the books I'm reading, the financial literacy knowledge I've gained, the marketing knowledge. Now I'm learning about copywriting. And these skills alone, they don't show, but what they're going to show over time is, and you will grow with me, you're going to see it, is that there is abundance out there, that you have the ability to learn anything you want if you just decide you're going to learn it. Wake up tomorrow and just say, I'm going to learn this skill and that skill and that skill, and start learning skills. And what you're doing is you're starting to develop your own talent stacks. You're doing it later in life. It's much more powerful if you structure your child's entire education around talent stacks. But you're doing it later in life, but you're doing it. And you're developing these talent stacks, and over time, they will lead to success in your life. And then you think about, I'm not just able to learn from books, but I'm able to watch interesting people like, Mike Cernovich is the Gorilla Mindset guy, and I watch his YouTube videos all the time, and I'm always writing down little pointers that he's pointing out in his videos. So you can read books, you can watch YouTube videos that will teach you almost anything in this world. You can read books, you can watch YouTube videos, you can Google and read articles. I've been building my blog, and as I do it, I've been reading all this different information on blogs, how to structure them, what add-ons you should have, what hosting sites you should have, how to make sure that you control your blog so that when people don't like your message, they can't just, the big oligarchs can't just delete it. Now I'm learning all of these skills. And then on top of it, think about it. I went on an app, hit call, and I had a 15-minute conversation, one-on-one, with Gorilla Mindset Mike Cernovich, someone who's walked the path I've been trying to walk, someone who's done what I'm trying to do. Had a 15-minute one-on-one conversation with him in which he told me, this is what you have to do. This is a world of abundance, and you have to create an abundance mindset within your children. You have to let them, it has to be a culture within your home. You have to create a culture in your household in which your children are always looking for what's next. Now, when I say that, like, guys, if your children are interested in Ninja Turtles, then just nudge them in the right direction, right? They're interested in Ninja Turtles? I don't know, get creative. Have them write a book about the Ninja Turtles. Have them produce a video about the Ninja Turtles. Have them write out a script and perform a play about the Ninja Turtles. Whatever. There's a whole world of opportunities out there. Whatever it is your children are doing, you always want to encourage them, use their natural interest to get them to level up. And that when they're leveling up, they're developing a talent stack through feedback-based learning. That is how we change the world. That is how we raise our children so that they will be infinitely more successful, infinitely smarter than we are. That is not what the education system did for us, and that is what we are going to do. And I wish I would have said all of this to Mike, because this is the true me that you always see. But truth be told, I hit call, and I saw he tweeted on Twitter he was on When Up. I was like, ooh, ooh, like a child. I hit call, and it's hilarious because I've done interviews with so many people, and I'm so calm, cool, and collected, and I just completely froze up. But it was a good learning experience. So again, if you guys can please tweet this or write this to Mike Cernovich, I hope he watches this. He probably won't. I was so unimpressive. Afterwards, I got off the phone. I was like, I don't think he liked me because I don't think I would have liked me. But hey, what are you going to do, guys? So that was a learning experience. But the point is the abundance mindset and how it's evident in what I just did and how you can raise your children to think that way. Now, I might fail at all this, by the way, but I won't fail because everything I fail at is just a learning experience, and I'll just take what I've learned and I'll reapply it to whatever I'm trying to do. And you start to read the books of successful people. Like, I just read Scott Adams recently, How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Big. I got a quarter way through this guy's book, and I couldn't believe how many businesses he started and completely failed at. And it was at that point in the book when he wrote, because he was doing this chronologically, and he wrote, and I had just graduated college. And I said, wait a second. He failed at all of this before he graduated college? And that was his point. He wasn't failing. He was succeeding. Because he was applying the skills from his previous failure to his next venture. And eventually, Scott Adams became wildly successful. In fact, he's the guy that launched the When Hub app that I was having a one-on-one conversation with Mike Cernovich on. Now, I would have paid $100 an hour for that 15-minute conversation with Cernovich. Luckily, he posted it out. I had a free conversation with Cernovich because there's value in it. So this is how we have to structure what we're doing. I'm going to open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Please follow my other YouTube channel. That's going to become my primary channel, but I figured I would convert you guys, get you over to it before I just ditched what I'm doing here. And I still might talk about political things when I want to on this channel. But Friday, I did my first live stream on Classical Learner. I talked about the proper way to teach your child how to write to make sure they grow up to be a proficient writer. Again, if you have any questions, now would be the time. Let me see what you said here. You had balls to interview Mike Cernovich or to have a conversation with him. More than can be said for most starting content creators. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, you can't be afraid in life. You gotta take your shots, and that's the culture we create with our children will teach them just that. That failure isn't failure. So many people don't do anything because they're afraid to fail. Right? I think there's a famous Michael Jordan quote about not being afraid to fail. I'm just paraphrasing, but he said, I missed more shots than I took. But in the end, I won because I wasn't afraid to fail. And no one remembers all the game-winning jump shots that Michael Jordan missed at the buzzer. What they remember is Michael Jordan so elegantly holding his hand up as right after he crossed over Brian Russell and he made a shot to win Game 6 of the NBA Finals. That's what they remember about Michael Jordan, not his failures. And this is the culture we're going to create within our children's homes. And I'm going to be releasing my full educational program. I'm going to say a month because I don't want to do it before it's ready. But it's going to coincide with the release of my blog and my education program. And I'm going to do a lot of great things, guys. We're going to change the world. We're going to change the way we raise our children. I'm going to binge watch some of your videos later. Any particular video I should start? Well, if you want to watch my political videos, I hope you're interested in my educational videos. Let me see which educational videos I'd want you to start with. My political videos, I did a whole documentary series on Seth Rich. All my videos, pedophiles in government, the Jerry Sandusky pedophile network connects to the Clintons, which is a great video, by the way. And it shows you how corrupt the entire system is. It will blow your mind. If I could talk about, before I go, the Jerry Sandusky pedophile network connects to the Clintons. The reason it's so powerful is when the Sandusky story broke, well, what were you led to believe? I was led to believe he was a lone monster. And then I did my research and said, whoa, this guy wasn't a lone monster. This was a big network. And the media didn't report that. They covered that up. And you'll see, and everything is cited. And you'll say, wow, I see how corrupt the system is. So a lot of work like that. I did a documentary on the murder of Michael Hastings. So many videos. Yeah, I mean, that's a good place to start. But my educational stuff, obviously on Classical Learner, on teaching your child how to write, so follow my other channel. And then I'm just going to look through my recent videos and see where we would want to start. Okay. I like Schooled Stupid, A Tale of Two Children. I like How to Make Sure Your Child Isn't Bullied. I like The Brilliant Kylie Jenner. You say, what? What do you mean The Brilliant Kylie Jenner? It's a great lesson on teaching your child skills and developing talent stacks. We have to learn from people. So many people, they see Kylie Jenner and they hate on her. But what we need to do is see what makes people successful. And yes, I understand there's some natural advantages she has. But a lot of people have millions of dollars. Not a lot of people turn those millions into billions. Speaking of Cernovich, Hoaxed, teaching your child, it's Hoaxed Media Literacy in the Age of the Internet, which is about teaching your children media literacy. Talent Stacks, Owen Benjamin, is a video I love because Owen's a great example of the power of talent stacks. Why? Because he's been banned from so many outlets. He's been banned from different social media. He's been demonetized, so they've attacked his ability to make a living financially. Hollywood attacked his ability to make a living. YouTube attacked his ability to make a living. But he's been able to overcome that because he has such a unique and wide-ranging talent stack that no matter what they do, they can't take away his ability to make money. So he will always be independent and free to do and say what he wants. And that's what we want for our children. So people that are controversial, people that are banned from social media but are still able to prosper are great examples of the talent stacks we should develop within our children, because that's how we make them strong, right? As parents, we want to make them strong. So what you have to do is identify strong people. Whether you like what they're saying or not, identify strong people, and that will allow you to make sure your children grow up strong and independent, so they can do whatever job they want to do. They can say whatever they want to say without being bullied into censorship. And they can do whatever they want to do, by the way. So, you know, I talk about all these things. Like, that's the other part of my message that maybe I don't put out enough. Like, the culture I'm creating in my household, the culture that I'm going to teach people to create in their household, is not a culture of pressure. It's about using your child's natural interest to turn them into just an absolute powerhouse. But, like, I'm never going to put culture on myself. Like, I'm going to make it so my children have the ability, the talent stack, to be the president of the United States if they want to. But if my child grows up and decides, you know, he wants to spend his life backpacking through Europe, he won't get one word out of me of, I don't like that choice for your life. I just want him to have, all I can do as a parent, the best thing I can do is teach morality, a system of ethics, and to give my child the skill set so that he can do whatever he wants in the world. And if he wants to be president, great. And if he wants to spend his life backpacking through Europe and seeing the world, well, God bless you, son. I just want you to be happy. I want you to be a good human being. I want you to be moral. I don't want you to try to hurt people. So avoid hurting people. Try to make the world a better place and live your life the way you want to live. And I'll make sure you have the skill set so that you can do whatever you want. That's how we parent. Culture. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. James, I appreciate your insight. And please follow my other channel, that is Classical Learner on YouTube. There is the link. And also follow Classical Learner on Facebook. Like I said, I'm going to be rolling out my entire educational program in the next month, which will coincide with my blog and it'll all come, and my website and everything coming together. Yeah, James, this is why I do this, so people watch. So I appreciate you asking. Like, you know, I get the question, what videos should people watch? I'm excited to answer that question. You know, why wouldn't I be? So I'll be unrolling all of that. So check the videos, and again, send this to Cernovich, because this is the me I wish I would have showed him, rather than the embarrassing, starstruck, unable to breathe, unable to formulate cogent thought me that he saw. But hey, you live and you learn, and now my wife gets to laugh at me. So she, all weekend, she's like, oh, Cernovich, So all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Power to the individual, long live liberty. We're going to change the world. We're going to do it from the grassroots level.